What is up, guys? Rick Calus here, and today we have the Leviathan raid for dummies. All of the tips, all of the tricks for all of the encounters start to finish for the new Leviathan raid in Destiny 2. Now, of course, guys, the old raid guides for dummies helped literally millions of people, so I can't wait to continue the trend in Destiny 2. However, guys, obviously completing the raid and then compiling this massive guide took a ton of work. If you find this video helpful, please remember to help me out by simply liking and especially sharing this video, even if you just tell a friend. It's immensely helpful. And so, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is load into the new Leviathan raid. You may actually need to go to the tower first to trigger the new milestone and unlock it. It's its own activity, a pass to the right of Nessus. Now, when you first load in, you're going to see a lot of enemies, but quick tip for you guys, you don't actually have to attack them. They just stay there. So you can just run past all of these enemies until you reach the first real encounter that you're going to keep returning to in the Leviathan raid. Now, you'll notice that in this real encounter you have a essentially massive courtyard with several different doors that are currently locked. You basically use this courtyard as a focal point throughout the Leviathan raid. Every time you go into one of these doors, you're going to beat a raid encounter, you're going to come back into this courtyard, and then you're going to do another door, another door, another door, until you unlock the final front-facing door to defeat the raid boss. And so, let's start with the first encounter. The first door you have to open is on your left from the direction you enter the courtyard from. You'll know it's the right door because all of the other doors will have banners in front of them, and this door will have a symbol. So these are going to be the mechanics for how the whole courtyard works. Essentially, what you need to do is get the banner that corresponds to the symbol on the door you're trying to open. Now, there's 4 symbols that are going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the Leviathan raid. Firstly, there is the sun symbol. Next, there is the war dog or just dog symbol. Next, there is the crossed axes symbol. And then lastly, there is the chalice symbol. So what you're going to do is, if it displays a glowing sun, you go to the door to which the sun is displayed. Like, you'll see a big sun next to this door, and you'll know this is the door for the sun. And you'll see that the chalice is kind of there, but it's covered in goop. You can't pick it up. You simply fight off enemies while you're there until eventually a special enemy will spawn. This enemy is called the Standard Bearer. Killing him will simply allow you to pick up his standard, his flag essentially, and transport it to the door you're trying to open. The best strategy for this encounter is to split your team up 3 and 3, with 3 people defending and 3 people going to get the respective banners. You're going to have 3 people defending because special, harder enemies called Standard Reclaimers will spawn, and they can actually steal the current banners that you have emplaced at the door you're trying to open. So again, 3 people defend and try to open the door. The other 3 people go around and get the banners matching the symbols that is displayed on the door you're trying to open. Now, the first door that's going to open is the bathhouse encounter. And to be honest, guys, from this point forward, buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride. The Leviathan raid is an extremely mechanics-focused, unforgiving raid, to be quite honest. There's going to be a lot of information coming at you. I'm going to try to explain it as best I can, but you're really going to have a very well-oiled team if you do want to complete this raid. And so, let's get into it. Now, upon entering the bathhouse encounter, you're going to find a platform in the very middle of the map surrounded by water. This water will hurt you if you go inside it. Now, the platform in the very center does have a strange orb on top of it. There's also going to be 4 additional platforms, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. So what you're going to need to do for this encounter is have all 4 teammates jump on those outer platforms at the same time. The best strategy is to split your team up, 3 on the right and 3 on the left. I'll explain why in just a little bit. So to start the encounter, 4 people jump again on those 4 platforms. They collect those orbs, and that's going to give you psionic protection. This makes it so that you won't get damaged while you are in the water, but it will start counting down from around 50 seconds. So what you're going to need to do is simply hold down the platforms. You can see that the longer you stand on the platforms, the chain in front of you is actually moving. You're going to have this go all the way down all 4 locations to trigger the next phase. But there's a little bit more going on than that. While you are holding down these platforms, you're going to get ceremonial bathers that are going to spawn. These are higher level cabals that you definitely want to take down with a power weapon or a super very quickly. Additionally, you won't have enough time to completely lower the chain with the initial psionic protection you gain. So what you're going to have to do is get off of that platform, go to the very middle platform, which is always going to have that orb respawning, gain more psionic protection from that middle orb, and then simply head back to the platform to continue holding it open. This is why you should have 3 people to each side, because you're going to need to start rotating through your teammates, and you'll see this happening in the background gameplay. Once I get to around 20 seconds maybe, I will switch with the kind of third person that isn't on a platform. He's going to go on my platform, I'm going to go recharge, then I'm going to save my other teammate that's getting even lower, and then he's going to go recharge, and he's going to become the person that floats around the middle until he's needed. You simply rotate these 3 people to make sure that while you're holding down the platforms, you always have psionic protection, and there's the least amount of time that you're not holding open these platforms, because when you're off the platforms, the chain starts to go back up. It goes the other way. So again, hold open these 4 platforms until the next phase triggers, while also having psionic protection for the maximum amount of time. If you don't have it, you'll simply die standing open on these platforms. So rotate with your teammates to ensure that doesn't happen. Once you've held all 4 platforms open enough, it's going to trigger the next phase. You're going to hear an audio cue that sounds like this, which means the next phase has begun. So your entire team heads to the middle of the map. You'll see that the middle platform is now glowing. What you're going to have to do is stand on this middle platform to gain a specific buff. That buff is called Force of Will. When you have Force of Will, you are able to damage the purple hanging chains or whatever they are and burst these glass containers. Bursting all 12 glass containers will complete this encounter. However, while you're doing this, ceremonial bathers are also going to be spawning, so it's a good idea to have maybe 4 of your teammates dedicated to DPS and the other 2 dedicated to keeping the first 4 alive, quite frankly. If you aren't able to smash all of the purple vials in one go, which is likely, you're going to see some weird looking scions spawn, a chancellor. Make sure to just go in there and melee them. They're 1-hit kill melees. They're going to come up more in this raid. There's also a glowing, strange looking scion as well. Just kill all of that stuff. You don't want that stuff doing anything weird. From this point, however, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to do literally what you've just been doing, holding open the 4 plates until finally you have done it enough to lower the chains enough so that you can unlock the middle area, go in there, get Force of Will, and take down the rest of the purple vials. You also do have a reward chest. However, it's most likely that you're going to get redeemable tokens, Emperor Calus tokens. We're going to get to where exactly you use those at the end of the video. You may get lucky enough and get some weapons or armor. You're also going to get a drain key, but we're going to talk about that later. At this point, however, you've completed this encounter. Head back to the courtyard to unlock the new door and another encounter. Next up, we did the very middle door, which opens up into the hunt encounter, and this one is a doozy, let me tell you. So once you've planted the correct banners, the doors are going to open and you're going to head to the pleasure gardens. And you're going to see a lot of different things. Firstly, there's a bunch of jagged vertical rocks, which look like you can jump on top of from one to another. You can, and that's going to come up in just a little bit. There's also a lower layer of jungle that's also going to come up, but there's also going to be a bunch of enemies around. Simply kill all of these enemies to trigger the encounter to start. Remember, there is a ton of Huntmaster Cabals. They're very easy to kill, yellow health enemies that will drop power ammo, so stock up on that. Now, once you do kill all of the enemies in this arena, you're going to see a bunch of objective markers appear at the back of it in a special kind of building. This building will come up multiple times. You're going to see 2 floating gems on top and then a bunch of other objectives down below, all 6 of which will have to be used by 1 teammate each. So firstly, let's talk about the floating gems. They're actually prism weapons. You can pick them up, and then when you're standing on the glowing pillars of light that you've seen around the map, you can actually shoot this prism weapon. Additionally, down below, there's a bunch of spores that the other 4 teammates will pick up. Now, once 2 of your teammates pick up the prism weapons, you're going to really start this encounter. A bunch of war beasts, 6 to be exact, will spawn. You have to kill all 6 to pass to the next encounter, but it's a little more complicated than just shooting them, unfortunately. What you're then going to have to do is, upon picking up and spawning all of these different war beasts, is the other 4 teammates need to pick up 1 of the spores each. You're then going to have to go sneak around the map. Treat this somewhat like the Gorgon's Maze from Destiny 1 Vault of Glass, because if the war beasts spot you, so if you're running, if you're jumping, they will definitely run after you and trigger a mechanic that makes you wipe. Your entire team will just die unless you get back inside this building where the spores first spawned. So you don't want to do that. So you're going to want to crouch with your 4 teammates and sneak around the map. The 2 people with the prism weapons are jumping from tall rock to tall rock into the different lights so that they can use their prism weapons at the appropriate times. So look around the map or watch the background gameplay and familiarize yourself with these strange looking rocks. They're definitely out of place. And every once in a while, these rocks will glow purple, as again you'll see in the background gameplay. This purple glow indicates that's where you want your team to head. So you're going to first start spawn everything. The people up top with the prism weapons are going to look around and see where that purple glow is. Let's say the one on the very beginning left, right near the base where you start, is glowing purple. Great. Your teammates are going to head there. The people with the spores are going to sneak there. Once all 4 of them are in range, and they want to all get in range at around the same time, because if one is in range and tries to wait for the other 3, it may despawn. But once they're all in range of this purple glow, the person with the prism weapons up above, while standing in the light, will shoot a beam of the prism light at the purple glow, and it will explode and cause a buff. This buff is called Empowering Spores, and you get 3 stacks for each teammate with a spore that was hit by the purple explosion. So if only 1 teammate is nearby and someone with the prism shoots too early, you're just going to get 3 times. If all 4 people are nearby, you're going to get 12 times. Now this is very important because the more empowering spores you have, the more damage you do to the war beasts. So you're going to want to get your empowering spores up as much as possible so that you can kill as many war beasts as you possibly can in a single phase. So this encounter really just consists of the people with the prisms spotting where to go, which one of these different rocks is glowing purple. There's going to be 3 different locations ringed around the right side and the left side, and then 1 location in the very middle of the map. So you're simply going to call out, okay, go, front, left, very beginning near the base, your team's gonna go there. It's like, all right, the next one is middle right, your team goes there, and then the next one just spawned in the very middle, and then your team goes there. And at that point, if you've done everything right, your entire sneaking team has avoided the war beasts and snuck by crouch walking over to the purple glows, and once they get there, someone with the prisms shoots that purple glow, it explodes, you get a bunch of buffs. At that point, you'll have 36 times. And then you can drop down and try to engage these war beasts. However, again, you can keep going beyond 36 times. 36 is a pretty good marker. You can usually melt 2 of these beasts, and sometimes 3 if you are a good coordinated team. You are going to want to quite legitimately get it above 36 if you can, because that's going to make melting 3 a lot easier, and once you do 3 it becomes a lot easier. Doing 2 and then having to do 2 and 2 in the next 2 phases is a little difficult, and we'll explain why in just a second. So those are most of the base mechanics down. What you really want to aim for is getting as much empowering spores as you can before a new notification pops up that the war dogs grow restless. At this point, eventually, they won't have to necessarily find someone, but they will just howl and introduce the death mechanic. When this happens, or if you're 36 or above and someone does get spotted, pull the trigger, get your entire team in there. Remember that the people with the prisms can't actually get the spore damage bonus until they're down below with the rest of your team, and just melt as many as you can. You only have about 30-45 seconds until the door at the top of the building where you had to start closes and you can no longer get in. So you want to melt as many enemies as you can, as fast as you can, get your entire team back inside that door. It's going to close and then your team will survive. The only other thing you really need to know, well actually there's a few more things, but one other thing you need to know is that every time you burst a spore, 2 Cabals will spawn. A Huntmaster, one on the right and one on the left. So split your Prism team up right and left, and as you can see from the background gameplay, you melt those Cabals extremely fast with the Prisms, so just be aware of that. Once you do the first damage phase, things are going to change drastically. That's why it's very important to try to melt 3, I mean if you can 4, that would be amazing, war beasts in that first phase by getting your spores as high as possible. Because for the second and third phase, and by the way, there's actually a little light inside that safe room, those 3 red lights. When they're all used up, you can no longer go back in that safe room. So you only get a limited amount of phases. But in every phase past the first one, the dogs are going to get restless much sooner. So you're going to have only the opportunity to get 24 stacks is amazing, like 2 spores popped, but likely 12. You can definitely kill 1 war beast with 12, but it is a little bit hard, and you're definitely not going to kill 2 unless you're like the most amazing team on Earth. So that's why you really want to kill 4 or 3 on that first phase, because the next few phases will go by a lot quicker. They'll just howl and start that mechanic a lot earlier. So you want to be able to have the luxury essentially of only having to kill 1 or 2 for those last couple of phases. And by the way, remember, the dogs don't respawn. So if you kill the 3 dogs on the left side will be totally clear, which means that you don't have to worry about crouching and sneaking. Your team can just run to the nearest glowing purple spore on the left side and blow it up really quickly to get an easy 12 stack for the next rounds after the first phase. It's going to be complicated, and it's going to likely take several tries because your team is going to have to get used to the right routes to run to avoid the dogs. That's really the main thing. Once you kind of get used to where the dogs go, it is a preset pattern, you'll start getting this a lot faster. And so, that is the second encounter. The instant you kill all of the war beasts, it will complete it and give you an engine key, as well as another chest that you can get either tokens from or weapons or armor. At this point, head right back out to the courtyard, start killing enemies, and open the door on the right. This will be the last encounter before the final boss encounter at the very front chalice room. So, have all 6 of your teammates stand on this elevator, which brings you up into the arena for the next encounter, the Gauntlet. You'll recognize those 4 symbols yet again, and in front of each of those 4 symbols, there is an elevated platform. 4 people are going to have to stand on these 4 different platforms. 2 of them will look a little different. The chalice symbol and the dog symbol for us had the certain device that spawned orbs near the front. You really only need to do this one time to figure out which places are the 2 special places that will spawn the orbs. So essentially, split your team up. 1 person on each one of these elevated platforms, 2 people on the special platforms. Again, they have these special devices in the front. You'll see very soon in the background gameplay what the heck I'm talking about. At this point, when you're standing on those platforms, kill a bunch of enemies. That will eventually cause a slightly harder enemy to spawn, kill that guy, and that's going to trigger orbs to spawn. Send 1 of your teammates from the teams of 2 to go and grab these orbs. 1 person each will have an orb. They are then going to get teleported to the outside track ringing the arena. And then they're going to have to literally do a gauntlet, like some American Ninja Warrior style stuff here. So, you're going to notice that as you're running through, there's a shield blocking your way at the part that looks like Connect 4. There's a bunch of little circles that you have to jump through. Now, on the outside of those sections, there's 3 downward pointing arrows. That is very important. Essentially, you're going to have teammates shoot, two teammates shoot the right arrows at the exact same time. It can't be one teammate shooting like the top one and the bottom one. It has to be at the same time. So two teammates are going to have to shoot, let's say, the top one and the bottom one yet again. That's going to open the shield that is blocking you and allow you to continue. Now that was very complicated, and let's try to break it down even further. So essentially what you're going to need to do is designate all of your different teammates to look to their right. Help the team on their right. There's only two guys running, so two teammates can again focus on the barrier that each one of the runners has encountered. Like one runner will run by, they see the runner coming, they focus on getting him through the barriers they can see, then the next guy is going to come around, they focus on getting him through those barriers. And how you get the runner through the barriers is to shoot the correct arrows at the right time. So what are the correct arrows and how do you know? Well, the runner is going to have to shout out which places to shoot. The runner will actually see a bunch of those different circles, but one of them will be glowing red. The one glowing red is the row you do not want to shoot. So if there's a glowing red one in the very middle circle, you're going to say top and bottom. Your teammates on the outside are going to, one of them, shoot the top, the other shoot the bottom arrow, and that's going to open up the doors, and if you do it correctly, it will spawn a special orb in the red circle, the circle that you didn't want to shoot the row for. You collect this orb, and as you can see in the background gameplay, it extends the time that you can run. If you miss these orbs, the orb you are carrying will just explode and you will lose this encounter. So, a huge tip for you guys to avoid confusion is to designate one teammate to top or bottom, higher or lower. Essentially, designate one teammate that you're only going to shoot the higher ones. The next guy over to the right, you're only going to shoot the lower ones. Next guy, higher ones. Last guy, lower ones. This makes things a lot easier because you're not confused in where to shoot. If you're designated higher, and the runner yells out middle and bottom, well, you're going to shoot the higher one, the middle one. If he yells out top and middle, you're going to shoot the top one. If he yells out top and bottom, you shoot the top one. If you're designated lower and he shouts out, top middle, you shoot the middle one. Top low, you shoot the low one. It will become a lot easier once you do it a couple of times, but designating people to do that is definitely the best way to go. Now you're going to have to run this gauntlet 3 times, which means you're going to have to make it all the way around and eventually get to the finish line, which will teleport you back into the main arena. You head to the very center of the map and slam your orb, and that's going to advance this encounter. So it really just is coordination with your teammates and the people running with the orbs, shouting out the correct rows that your other teammates shoot. Once they make it through 3 gauntlets and slam the middle 3 times for a total of 6 because there's 2 teammates, it's going to trigger the next mechanic for this encounter. By the way, each time you run the gauntlet, it will get a little bit harder. The first time is very easy, but the second and third time there's going to be gaps appearing that you have to jump over, etc. Now, something important to note, if you're on the outside, the guy who's shooting the arrows, you're also going to have to deal with the weird scions that have the shields around them. When you see these guys, hop off your platform, run into the shield, just get a quick melee and go back to your platform. The priority is helping your teammates get through those shields, but if you forget about these scions, the weird looking shielded scions, they will trigger a mechanic that can cause you to wipe. So you're going to want to kill those whenever you see them if you're on the outside. Okay, so once you do slam 6 orbs in total, it's going to trigger the next phase, which is going to cause 6 orbs in total to spawn in this middle area. Your entire team runs to the middle of the map, each one collects an orb, and they will all be teleported to run the gauntlet at the exact same time. Now, it's going to open up all of the different little holes, but only 4 of them will actually have the objective little orbs inside that will extend your duration. So try to share them. If you get one, try to move over to a different hole the next time so you don't get one, and then get one the next time. You only need 4 people to finish this gauntlet for it to complete, and I'm pretty sure you need to actually hit all of the different orbs. So I was busy clutching for my team because the rest of them missed it, then they left me behind and I just died. But again, thankfully, only 4 need to complete it to the finish line. and then you complete this encounter, and we're on to the final boss fight. Except we're kind of not. Completing this encounter is going to get you a ventilator key and yet another chest, and you've probably been wondering, what do I use all of these keys for? Well, we kind of found out. After completing this encounter and then heading back through the hallway to get to the main courtyard, you may notice that there are levers. You can actually pull these levers to unlock the bowels of the ship, and yes, I'm being serious. Pull the levers at the right time. There's only 4 levers, and you'll know you're the first person if you pull your lever and it stays down. That's the first person. Someone else pulls. If theirs stay down, they're the next person. If it does go back up, then they're not the next person. Just do trial and error until you get the order correct, as you can see us do in the background gameplay. That's again going to open a door, which is going to allow you to go through the entire ship. This is the crazy part. We didn't really explore absolutely everything here. We did focus on actually beating the raid, and that's what this video is going to focus on. I'm going to do an entire video on this whole area and the secrets there, but the chests for this encounter are presumably here. Also, something to note, these passageways go throughout the entire raid. You can actually, presumably, get to the start of each encounter from the bowels of the ship, perhaps entirely skipping the courtyard mechanic. We actually found our way to the front of the ship. We found our way from the actual boss fight back into the bowels of the ship, but it is very complicated and you're likely to get lost. So if you're focusing on just completing the raid, you're just going to want to head out to the courtyard, and that's where this video will continue. And so, we move on either through the bowels of the ship or through the courtyard using the familiar banner mechanics to again the final boss fight of the Leviathan raid. This is going to be a heck of an explanation. Essentially, it's broken down into 2 different roles. You have 3 people doing one thing and 3 people doing another thing. And so, let's get started. Upon entering the royal chambers, you're going to see the Jabba the Hutt ripoff himself sitting there with a big cup in his hand. You actually can shoot the cup to start this encounter or go stand right next to him. But either way, he's going to stand up and spawn a bunch of enemies and also shoot laser beams at you through his forehead. So that's something. In any event, you're going to have to kill a bunch of these enemies. In fact, you're going to have to kill every yellow health special enemy that has spawned here to trigger the next encounter. Once you do so, a bunch of those weird looking shielded scions will spawn yet again, 4 to be precise. Apparently you don't actually have to kill them, however we always did because they pretty much guaranteed, and remember you can kill them with a single melee, they pretty much guaranteed a power ammo drop, so that's very, very useful. So once you kill all of the adds, it's going to spawn 4 scions that are situated right beside the 4 exact same symbols that we keep seeing. You kill these 4 scions as quickly as possible if you want to get some free power ammo, and then you're going to be teleported to this very strange looking dimension with a massive fat Cabal head in front of you. Now aside from the massive head, there's a couple of other details you need to take notice of. Firstly, there's going to be 3 orbs to which you've kind of seen before, and also there's going to be a very low kind of shin-high wall across this arena. That is extremely important. Now this is where you are going to split your team up 3 and 3. 3 people go through each of the 3 different glowing orbs. They're going to get teleported back into the throne room. The other 3 teammates are going to stand behind the wall, preferably crouched, and do a whole bunch more stuff. Now, if you are one of the people that goes back into the throne room, you're simply going to kill as many enemies as you can, hopefully preventing yourself from dying. Remember, you only have 1 respawn token per person, so you do not want to die, especially if your team is split up like this. The 3 people in the throne room should definitely be saving their tokens. They're going to have to revive more people, and they're more likely to die. In any event, again, you get teleported in, you kill a bunch of adds, but you also keep an eye on those scions and wait for instructions. Meanwhile, the 3 people on the outside are going to start getting sucked towards the giant Cabal face. If they jump, they will instantly die. If they hit a ramp as they're being sucked and fly up into the air, they will instantly die. If they go through a hole, they will instantly die. If they get blown up by a scion that's going to spawn, they will instantly die. If, frankly, for no reason at all, the raid just decides to screw you over, they will instantly die. Trust me, that's going to happen. In any event, however, the 3 people outside are going to stand at that knee-high barrier. That barrier is the thing preventing you from flying towards the Cabal head and instantly dying. So again, crouch behind it. Each person is going to see a different symbol projected on the giant Cabal head. For example, I see a dog. My teammate may see the sun, and my other teammate may see the crossed axes. We're each going to shout out which symbol we see, and the one we didn't shout out. In this case, it would be the Chalice. That's the one the teammates inside have to kill. One more time for clarity's sake. The 3 guys that are in the massive head part of the raid going to see a symbol each themselves, like a unique symbol that they can only see on their own screen. If I have dog, my other teammate has the sun, and my other teammate has the crossed axes. The last one, the odd one out, is the Chalice. We say kill the Chalice, kill the Chalice, kill the Chalice. The people inside run to the scion that's near the Chalice symbol. There's going to be the Chalice symbol right above his head and all of the other symbols for the other 3, and they melee the Chalice guy. Boom, that's what you need to do. Now, if they melee the wrong one, it's going to cause that barrier wall to instantly disappear. And if they melee the right one, it's going to make it so that the next one disappears. In the meantime, if you're out near the giant head, there's going to be the glowing scions that spawn. You have to kill both of them. Each time they spawn, kill the right one and the left one. If you don't, they will explode and cause your entire team to wipe. And as soon as you're done the first barrier, you'll be pulled towards the second barrier. Again, make sure that you're standing in the right position, that you're not going to go off a jump or go into a hole. So actually move left to right to make sure the coast is clear in front of you. And when you hit that second barrier, from each barrier on this point forward, there's going to be normal scions that spawn. You have to kill these as quickly as possible. Honestly, kill them before you kill the white ones. That's how important they are. Because if they get off their attack where they make the void power and it goes and blows you up into the air, of course, if you're blown up into the air when you're being sucked forward, you'll instantly die. It's a nightmare. Just kill these guys first, then kill the white guys. And the whole time this is happening, you're going to need to also shout out the symbols you're seeing. There's a lot going on. It's going to take several times to get used to it, but that's really what you have to do. Eventually, you will not see any more symbols on the giant Cabal's forehead. You only have to do 3 of the rounds of symbols. You're just going to have to kill a few more scions, and then he's going to start barfing skulls at you, and I am dead serious. This, however, is very important. You have to kill as many skulls as you can. There's about 60 total, and the more skulls you kill, the more damage you will do in the upcoming damage phase. Now, once the people in the big head arena are killing skulls, the people inside need to damage the boss as quickly as possible. He's going to be doing an animation, as you can see in the background gameplay, and if you don't kill him fast enough, if you don't lower his shield fast enough, he will cause your team to wipe. So DPS him as much as possible to prevent him from doing this. So once all the skulls have spawned and you've hopefully killed around 50 is the number you really want to be aiming for. That's quite good DPS. There's going to be 3 portals that appear yet again. The 3 teammates in the giant head arena run through those portals and meet up with the rest of the teammates in the throne room. At this point, you begin the damage phase. What you're going to need to do is have all of your teammates hop on one of the different platforms that the scions have been spawning. As you can see in the background, we chose to hop on the back right one, then the front right, then rotate over to the front left, and then the back left last of all. Technically, I suppose you could rotate to whatever ones you want to. Just make sure all of your teammates are on the same one, and then they all migrate to the second one. This is all about doing a ton of damage at once. There's a lot of good things you can use here. The Merciless Exotic Fusion Rifle was an absolute peach here, was fantastic. Also, Empowering Rifts are very good, especially if you're playing a Warlock and you're on the outside big head arena, because you don't really need a healing rift. There's no opportunity to use one, so use an Empowered Rift if you're one of those people. Golden Gun is also fantastic, especially if you can get those crits and spawn orbs for your teammates that do even more area of effect and damaging supers. But again, you just want to deal damage, as much of it as you can. So, again, you're going to all hop on one platform, do as much damage as you can, and you're then going to see him raise his hand and yell. At that point, get off that platform, because he's going to cause a big solar explosion to appear right on the platform you were at, and you do not want to be there when that thing explodes. Likely teammates are going to die if they're too close. So as soon as you see him raising that hand, get off that platform and go to the next one. Damage the crap out of him from that next platform. As soon as you see him raise that hand yet again, go to the next one. Rinse and repeat. Now, if you do enough damage, you're able to take down a full third of his health, which is going to trigger the next phase. Turns out, this raid boss is actually a robot. Not the real Cabal leader, but an imposter. Pretty cool storyline element, but this is very important because he's going to change his tactics a little bit in this next encounter. Mainly, his critical is then going to change to his chest. So make sure you're shooting him at the chest and not at his head anymore. Now, you absolutely don't need to get him to this robot stage in one damage phase. It just makes things easier, essentially. The less damage phases you have, the less likely someone's going to die and screw up. Because it's so mechanic driven, very likely someone's going to die doing something. So, after you rotate to each of the 4 different symbols, avoiding his attacks, and hopefully you get him to transform, that will be 1 damage phase thereabout. Then a bunch of ads are going to spawn. You're going to do the whole thing again like you did the very beginning of this encounter. Kill ads, cause a scion to spawn, kill the scions if you can to get free power ammo, get teleported out to the big head area, the 3 people staying in the throne room teleport in, and the other 3 people stay out. There's no changes of mechanics from this point forward to those main mechanics. So the people in the throne room are just listening to directions and killing the correct scion. And also slaying out. You got to kill a lot of ads. Stuff like Stormcaller and potentially hammers and stuff is very good here, where you can just kill a bunch of ads with your supers. And the people in the big head area are just going to shout out the proper directions and kill scions and hopefully stay alive. Now, moving on to the second damage phase, the one thing that has changed is that potentially again you've changed his form into the robot form. If you do that, he's no longer going to hold up his hand and cause the fire to spawn, but instead he's going to aim his gun at you, and at that point, that's when you want to leave your area and go to the next platform to stand on. That's really the only change you need to be aware of for this second third of his health. So you're going to get through a second damage phase, let's say, and you're going to trigger him down to that last third of health. He's going to slightly change yet again. The only changes this time is that firstly, the whole time he's been lifting his hand, even sometimes when you're not doing a DPS phase and causing those solar explosions, if you see a solar kind of flare appearing near you, just get out of that area. You don't want to get hit by that. But now in the third damage phase, he's going to light a whole area of the ground on fire. So really try to avoid that. And also note that instead of the normal array of ads, big Colossus Cabal will spawn. That's very important because they shoot the slowing arc attacks, which can honestly completely screw your team over if you get slowed just before you're going to melee the right scion, you know? So you want to take those down as quickly as possible, team shot them, super them, you know, use potentially a little bit of power ammo, whatever you can. You don't want to save everything for the boss and then die because you were getting a little bit greedy. You need to survive that encounter. You need to slay out until you get to that damage phase. Moving on from there, 3 or 4 damage phases later, hopefully not 5, you're going to eventually do enough damage to Emperor Calus that you will trigger the last death mechanic. So just play it as normal until you eventually damage him, and then he will start to do one last kind of hurrah death mechanic, very similar to Axis in the Wrath of the Machine, where he's lifting his arms and you're going to have to do as much damage as you can to him, or else it will trigger a wipe mechanic. If you pump enough damage into him, he will die for good, and congratulations, you've just beaten the Leviathan raid for Destiny 2. The middle of the arena is going to open up and there's a drop down which you head down, run across a pretty crazy looking area with a bunch of other robot Caluses nearby. Thank goodness we only had to fight one at a time. And then you will collect the final raid chest. Okay, so that is it for the Leviathan raid. However, there's a couple of other things to note. Number one, what the heck do you do with all of your consumable coins you've been getting throughout this raid? Well, you actually head back to the tower. If you open your directory, you can see on the tower that there is a new objective, a blue objective in the bazaar. Head there and you'll find a very suspicious looking sweeper bot. He is actually an emissary of the Cabal, and you can level him up with those tokens to unlock more raid gear. In addition to that, if you're in a clan, don't forget to go and collect your Luminous Raid Engram, which will award you with a raid, I think it's weapon, maybe somewhat of a chance to get armor. It's only going to have 10 attacks, you're going to have to infuse it upwards, but at least you can get one more reward from that. And that should apply to your entire clan as well, so if you have a big clan and some of you guys have done it, the rest of the people should get those rewards too. And so guys, that is truly it for the Leviathan raid for dummies. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Again, if you did, it would be immensely helpful of you if you could like and especially share this video. I don't do giveaways or like goals or any of that stuff, so honest people like you guys are the only way my channel stays alive, so thank you so much to the people who do support me. Now guys, if you want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day and good luck.